what I want to show you is just this is a form to request service for those of you who work or have worked with cats, but it's not necessarily specific to cats, but it has some different features. Ultimately, I would like Manny to share the print this page or print button that you can put on a form so that you can print off, you know, a uh, an instrument, a form. The problem with, so you see a lot of times this when you're in an instrument that has data or whatever, you see this download the survey with save data or save as a PDF. The problem with that is, and I'll show you this real quick. Well, if I download the PDF of this, it looks like this, which is relatively useless. And so you don't want to use that method. However, I do think that if you do this, if you have this option of saving it with as a PDF from the browser, that might work, because this is what we're going to see with this print this page option. But if you just download the survey as a PDF normally, then you get a mess. So this has a few things that go on. The first part is the request phase. The request phase takes place where coordinators are going to request some support from the CATS Research Center. When they do that, there's a link posted from their site the coordinators will have that they can click on and then request support for a certain date and time, and put in what they want. That's done through a survey. So the survey only shows them what they need to request their visit. And, they put in their email, tell what they want, submit it. And when they submit it, it automatically notifies the CATS researchers that there's a request for support for a room. But as you see, the whole form has a lot of other components to it. The rest of it are pieces that they only need to see for staff to determine, how many hours you're going to need and this and that. So there's a lot of things that are specific to the staff and aren't necessary for viewing when you're just a coordinator requesting services. So I wanted to make sure that you could see how you did that. So all this stuff at the top, which looks like this in the design mode, what you want to make sure is you can see this in the survey, but the rest of the stuff you can't. So you're using the action tag hidden survey for the pieces that you don't want to show when you're just clicking on the link and then requesting services. So all of these fields that are have embedded variables in them are set to hidden survey. So there's that piece. And then there's pieces, once they come in, there may be some pieces you want to grab. You just set up an alert and notification to send out, whether it go, when it first comes in, you automatically set up a alert to notify the coordinators that there's a new request for service. And then once you've established that from CAT's end that they're going to support that request, then they're going to send a confirmation out to the coordinator. So there's those pieces, and you've probably all done things like that before. The thing that I ran into is this concept of being able to print, but I want to be able to print this as this. It looks like this because ultimately they need a paper form, a printed form, so that people can sign to say that they received those services, a confirmation. So you can do this manually by right-clicking, printing, and then selecting whether you wanted to save it as a PDF or print it on your local printer. That can be very non-intuitive for standard coordinators or admins or something like that. They would more likely want to have a method to print something quickly and easily and not have to try and figure out how this form works so that you can print it so that it looks like this, because there's no print screen on here anywhere. So I worked with Manny to have this print this page option, and I want him to go through what he did to program this, because it's really sweet. But when you click on this, you get this print the page. And the other piece of this that I wanted to show is just like when we did the survey that people filled out where they didn't see all this stuff that is used by the department itself, you can hide pieces of, you can hide any of these fields from your print job by identifying them in the printout as, whoops. So I don't want to print this staff assignment stuff on the printout that people are signing because it's irrelevant. So what you need to do is, even though it says hidden PDF, if you're hiding it on the PDF, you'll also hide it on your print screen for when you use this print button. So if I come back here to my print button and print this page, you'll see there's areas of here that aren't being printed. And then you can, play around with your settings, and depending on your printer or whatever, usually the settings get saved in some way. So, you can look here and decide what kind of scale you want. It probably depends on the printer you have, but you can make all these settings and sort of get them saved in place so that every time you print this, it comes out the same way. But the key here is that you can print the page, have it look exactly the way you want it with all the embedded fields, any kind of tweaks to coloration and all that, and make it look exactly like this, so that when you hand it to somebody to sign or to sign off on, it looks exactly like the form that they're used to. So with that, I needed this print the page button. So Manny, can you explain what went into creating that print the page button?
Sure. If you want to you can share your screen that way. I can just walk you through it on your end.
All right, hang on. Okay.
And if you want to go to the designer to show the button,
Yep.
because it's and click on that and go to the code. So it's not an actual button. For some reason in when I was creating this, if I use the actual button tag that generates a button in HTML, it would reload the form every time the button was clicked. So what this is just a div with bootstrap button classes. So it treats that div as a button. And then I gave it an ID of print button because that way I can hook into that individual element and hook code onto it. So it's really simple to create a button. And we'll put this up on the whenever we post this video. So it's very simple to create the button. And if you want to go back to go to the external module, and we're using the JavaScript injector for this. And the code is really simple. The window.onload function, that little wrapper we always put that on everything. Because basically what that does is it injects the code and gets everything set up when the window is loaded. So when your form loads, and then to make the button print, all we're doing is I set a function that when that print button, and you can see there with the #, print dash button, that's the ID that I'm hooking onto that element. So when that element is clicked, I'm running a function, which is a native jQuery function called window print. So it essentially takes the entire window that it sees and opens a print dialog with that information. And you can get more complicated where you can have it print specific elements and things like that, or specific sections in your page, but the window.print grabs the entire page. So that's what we're doing with that. So it's really easy to set that up. You would just need to add your button to your instrument and then enable it. And then if you scroll down on this, I have it set on the request form. So you can do it on all project pages. And then if it's just for a data entry page or survey, I usually set that one to on for those two. I'll select that. I'll keep that as all, and then I'll select data entry. But sometimes you just have to figure out what combination you need, because sometimes you don't want the code to fire on other pages. You want to limit it to the data entry or the survey or things like that. Just depends on what your JavaScript code is doing. And then down at the bottom, Terry has hooked it to the request form. So that's how he has it set up. So whenever we add this to the YouTube channel and on our webpage, I'll put the JavaScript code and the project, or not the project XML, but the button code as well, since this is a live project that Terry's using.
Yeah, so he'll give you just the component so that you can see how to create a print screen button.
Yep.
The funny thing is we kind of did something like this for those of you who were around back for the during the COVID pandemic, and we were collecting blood from the different locations around the state for determination if people had COVID or not. We had projects that anybody who wanted, who was getting blood drawn, everybody had a zebra printer at each location. And so we had the print screen button for that so that it would print the label exactly the way it needed to be done. And we did that like 3-4 years ago. And that was very successful. But I just thought that because I had this project, you never know what people might want to use for their project, what might help them. And for this case, just printing this exactly the way it looks is so much easier than trying to make sure everybody knows how to right click, print a PDF, or print to a, whatever, because you get different levels of people's knowledge about how a page works. So just to put this button on, it just makes it so much easier. So
also allows you to print from a survey, because you could add that button to the survey so they can
yes,
print directly from the survey view, because I don't believe those print buttons are available the ones above on a
Right,
survey
they're
view.
not. They're not.
Yeah, so if somebody has an iPad or something like that, they can have the option to print, because I don't know how you print from an iPad, like the right click, since it's a tablet. So that'll help.
Yes, anything that makes it easier for your users or your participants. I mean, that's always the goal. So something simple like this, um, it doesn't, there's nothing you can grab from the REDCap design to make that happen. So, you know, I just think this is an easy way to be helpful to your users. So anyway, that's the print the page button. And if you need anything like that that would be helpful, please don't hesitate to reach out and suggest button functionality that you could use, and we can work on our end to help build that and put it on the YouTube site so that other people will be able to share that functionality. Questions? All right then.
Mr. Terry Smith,
Yes, sir, Mr. Michael Hernandez.
for the benefit of the participants here, would you please run a side-by-side comparison, if you will, of the download PDF of instruments up top
Yep.
with that print, this page?
Yep.
I just want to. So, no, okay. There's another selection.
Download PDF.
No, not that one. There's a.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
You want this one.
Yeah, the web. I just wanted to see that.
And I think to an extent,
The availability and the access to it is.
again, this is one of those things that it's not, this has been refined a little bit. It used to be that this PDF, and I'm not even sure, let me try this one real quick. Okay, this is what I was afraid of. So if you use the save data for survey participant, it's going to give you that jacked up PDF. I think this is relatively new, where they allow you to use the browsers.
It is, yes.
This PDF. That was something that came out just recently. I remember seeing that. But in the past, it's not been like that. And again, you're asking people who aren't that knowledgeable about REDCap to understand how all of these work. Whereas for me, I would just as soon give them the easy functionality of making sure they.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I just wanted to see the difference.
Yeah. And it is interesting to see, because this is the first time I've looked at that drop down to see this new feature of saving it as a PDF with the. And the other thing that is not necessarily for, a user will look and see, well, I can save this as a PDF. They don't think that they could use that to print. But you could, because you're getting the same screen and then you just pick the printer instead of the PDF. And you could go about it that way and make sure you get the formatting. The other thing I wanted to just stress was the ability to hide things on a print versus hiding things through normal, the normal way of hiding something on a survey or hiding something on a form. By hiding something as a PDF keeps you from having it print, even though, again, it's not necessarily intuitive, because you see save as a PDF, you think, oh, that means I can also print it as a PDF. That it doesn't say that. So anyway, makes it much easier as far as I'm concerned.
I have a question.
Did you ask a question already today?
Yes, sir, I did.
I'm sorry. That was your one question then.
I used my limit.
Go ahead.
The question is, does when we do this, print this page, and also just with the PDF print the PDF.
Oh,
um,
yes. Yes,
Does it provide for logic?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure. Good question. Yeah, you could also save it as a PDF, but in this case, this particular client needed it to print out so that they had a hard copy. And you know, the other thing is you see all these different fields and they all may not be useful for a printout, a hard copy, like send a confirmation email. That's just something programmatic. So you can send a confirmation email to a coordinator. You don't need to see that on that printout. And you don't need to see all this grayed out staff room assignments that are useful only for the department. So you don't want to show them on a print the page. So that's where, and I had not done that before to hide them as PDFs, to hide them on a print screen. So I was experimenting to find that way. So, you know, that was successful.
That's pretty cool. Also, too, now it just makes it even easier for them to provide to the IRB what their actual survey or form looks like.
Oh, yeah, I agree.